brought, there's a 2-page summary in the proceedings, and I brought the 13-page entire study, if anybody wants a copy. First, since NAS in New York has changed hands, and you all may have some ag statistics questions, I want to introduce King Whetstone, who is the current USDA New York Field Director, who's in the back of the room. And you have a booth too, right?
Not this time.
Not this time.
We brought some material.
Oh, okay, good.
Great.
And just a couple of things, because they were talking about that prior to this, and somebody asked about the size. It doesn't matter how big you are. And also, currently we're conducting the 2011 Certified Organic Production Survey, which began in December. So some of you probably got the report in the mail. We'll be collecting that data to April, and it's a follow-up to the one that we did after the census in 2007. So if you see that survey in the mail, we definitely appreciate your cooperation. Thanks, Sarah.
You bet. And the entire 2008 census on organic is online, and you can actually download it data set by data set and do your own comparisons if you want. So if you want to look at the actual number of acres for broccoli and things like that, you can actually get some help from NAS if you want, if you're looking for particular kinds of data and having it correlated in certain ways. That's all possible, and it's very important as we are all trying to sort this out, what the actual number of farms are. So let's see if I know how to use this clicker.
And the bottom button.
Oh, there it is, I think.
Page down.
Got it. Okay. So in 2007, I started working for New York State Department of Ag and Markets, and the task at that point was to try to sort out what New York State could do to increase organic agriculture and support organic agriculture in New York State. And so we enlisted NAS to help us with a survey. And we did a survey of both organic farmers and conventional farmers. And this is how it was done. First, 980 organic producers were taken out of the, give or take, 31,000 farms in New York State that were on NASA's books in November of 2007. So they were taken out, and then farmers in different sectors, these are statistical sectors, were identified, and a sample of, a proportional sample of each one of these kinds of farmers were assembled and then mailed the conventional, the survey, so that we got 3,020 conventional farmers were mailed the survey, and all of the organic farmers who were identified in November 2007 were also sent the survey. So basically 2 groups, and we kept that data separate, those 2 groups. We got 783 good usable reports back. This is all being done by NAS, by the way, not by New York State Ag Markets. And I think the respondent rate was in the 900s, and reports had to be where mostly were considered unusable when the farm reported we're not in business anymore. That was the main reason for an unusable report. You can see that we got a higher response rate from organic producers. Another good reason to keep the responses separate as one goes through the data. And one of the biggest questions that we wanted to know was, are conventional farmers interested in transitioning to organic? And got a whopping answer back. We asked the question based on level of interest. So, is your interest high? Is your interest moderate? Or is your interest slight? And so 40% overall. Then when you take a look at other levels, I think 6% is extraordinary to have amongst just conventional farmers. What's your level of interest? 6%. 15% moderate, that's pretty interesting. But just even the fact that some people are slightly interested means that it's on their radar screen in some way that I would not have guessed otherwise.
Should that add up to 100 or?
Well, we have no, because we had 60% of conventional farmers who said they're not interested.
Oh, I see. Okay, so there was a category for that.
There was a category for not, and we got a lot of nots. 60% is, if I could frame it differently. I'm looking at the positive. Does the level of number of years you've been in farming influence your answer? And this is the high category. So interestingly, people who were in it for 11 to 15 years indicated the most high level of interest. And you can read, the rest of the way down. 6 to 10 years, 11% of those people had a high level of interest. But then if you go to some level of interest, grouping slight, moderate, and high together, people who are in, 11 to 20 years, who've been farming quite some time, that's where a lot of interest lay. So that is also useful to us because, again, it means that we should be interacting with the existing farming community, not just focusing on beginning and not necessarily wringing our hearts out about the 20 plus years. And I do have to say I would get a call or two, or we would get written on the bottom of the survey. We did have comments. I'm 67 years old. I'm 73 years old. I'd start organic now if I could. A little annoyed almost at the survey, asking them, now you want to know? We wanted to know what to do, and so we asked two different sets of questions. First, we asked what the barriers that conventional growers perceived were. What were they? We came up with questions in both marketing and production, and we did so both by listening to farmers and asking our advisory group what they thought. Then we also looked at other studies, and there were a couple of pretty thorough studies conducted in Texas, and then again in California. So we looked at those as well. And and then we did another set. After we did barriers, we did what do you want? So we have results on both of those things. The barriers, as you can see, people are really worried about what?
Price.
Obtaining that organic price. That's pretty important to people. And they're nervous about it. And then,
Competition.
pardon me?
Competition.
Competition.
That's the highest.
Competition with, and you'll see as we proceed what they want to do about that. So these are our marketing answers. And then these are our production answers. And you can see that some of the biggest concerns here are disease-related production losses. People do not like record keeping, I think, no matter how you look at it. And then there's some concerns about the high cost of organic inputs. Then what we did, just to see what was we compared conventional with an interest in organic, people who are already organic, and then conventional with no interest in organic, because those folks also answered the survey, and they gave us some perspective on what people may think about barriers. What do they know? We don't know what they know, but we do know that conventional growers who have no interest in organic are freaked out by what they think would be the loss associated with disease. They really assume that there has to be a lot. Same thing goes for input costs. And then if you look at the bottom line, which are folks who are already organic, you can see that except for the input cost and I want to line that up, processing facilities and access to labor, which that's everywhere. Their perception of barriers is really more in line with what organic production is all about. So they're basically not freaked out by production challenges. Keith?
Sarah, did that vary very much if you went from one commodity type to another, like a vegetable crop or a...
Versus dairy?
Yeah. So
I can't tell you offhand, but I could look it up and tell you. Okay. Here I just lumped everything together. These are the information services that we surveyed growers about. What do they need? And you can see what they want. Consumer education programs, how does that associate with the barrier that they perceive? They're really freaked out about competition, so they want people to know more about organic. We just keep on going down. What is the star here? The star here is ongoing university research on organic programs. And that's something that, you know, when we're talking to the feds, when we're dealing with federal budget cuts to ag research programs, all of that stuff, it's really, I think, key for people to see that as the organic production systems are improved or perfected, or growers have problems, they need and want that university research to support them. And then you can also see that there is a real interest in organic specific people for ag extension. Another important statistic to show that, yes, we can do something. And we will have ag service providers who can help you out. And those are people, when I talk to conventional growers who are thinking about these things, this is what extension is competing against. The weekly visit of the chemical supplier for, you know, weekly. And there's no, I would say, in the good old days, there's probably no way that an extension person could get to, you know, everybody in their county, much less the 8 counties that they're now responsible for.
Sarah, how is that question phrased? Because the conventional no interest line is much lower than all the other lines. So how was that question asked?
And you're talking about...
Any of them. Because it says information pertaining to organic production. So I guess what I'm reading is there the conventional people had no interest in organic production, so they could care less about the services. Maybe I'm reading
Yeah, but you know, I was even curious why they answered. So it was a what if, you know, so it's again, it's almost they were answering the survey as a what if. So if you were, you know, if you were transitioning, even though you said back then, you know, question number 7, now we're asking you on question number 28, what would be useful? And actually, on our website, this thing is also available electronically on the at the address that you see on the cover, as is my address. And I don't think the survey is on our website, but if you'd like the survey, that is useful. I should have it right next to it for people who want to see how it was phrased, because that's always, you know, everybody's curious and it's important. You're right. Oh, 5 minutes. I'm going to finish in less than 5 minutes. I don't know if anybody else has any other things that they want to note here. I think it is important to look at where organic and conventional with an interest and even conventional with no interest, what are they also looking for? Directories of organic buyers. So they're thinking about markets. And if you look at that one along with local, regional, organic market development, if you've been selling your stuff one place for years, well, I mean, where, you know, unless you're dairy, there the market is very clear. You know who your two processors are in the state. Now you know that they're completely hooked up with DMS, and so, you know, it all works really fairly similarly to the conventional dairy market, except that you have a contract. So people do worry about that. We're the state. Should the state have an incentive program to convince farmers to transition to organic? We asked, and these are our answers. Talk about a mixed bunch of answers and how you know, we realize that there are a lot of things going on here. So if you actually, and so when I started to discuss this or interpret this, you feel like you're trying to get into the head of the farmer. I'm not sure that's such a good idea. Because if you're such a, I mean, look, if you're interested in organic, yes, well then you're going to say, yeah, give me some money. If you're not interested, you certainly don't want anybody to get any money. I mean, so
Yep.
the data is what it is, and it's interesting. But I do like the question that we asked, which was, is a payment necessary for you to adopt? And so, again, the data stands. And I'd be happy to entertain any questions. And otherwise, I do want to thank New York NASS, because this is, Ag & Markets does not have a comprehensive list of the farms in New York State. NASS does. It has incredible confidentiality constraints that still allow us to, you know, work with them, but at the same time, as far as getting just a survey that makes good sense, we were able to do it with their help.
Thank you, Sarah. Set up any questions for Sarah?
Sarah, is this a one-time deal, or you guys will continue to get more information?
Wouldn't it be nice to know again? We do know, based on price fluctuations and all the rest of it, that people are looking and have to look at whether or not they can make a living. And I would say that while it would be great to know again that we would probably not be conducting another one of these overall things. What we did try to do is work with the information that we got. So when organic got a little bit of money 3 or 4 years ago, we hired the New York State Integrated Pest Management Program to get 13 organic production manuals out. And organic information was really one of the things. Our production information is something that the survey indicated that people wanted. So we did that. And we're not done with that. We don't have a comprehensive set of information for that yet in New York State. So, you know,